Looking at the ideal, just normalized kind of the everyday person, what's your ideal macronutrient breakdown in the ratios? You talked about there's protein, fat, and carbs. What are the percentages you advise?
I think for most people, anywhere from 25 to 40% of calories coming from protein is optimal. For carbohydrates, it's going to dramatically depend on activity level. So for people who are less active, probably 5 to 10%. For people who are more active, could probably get away with up to 25% of their calories is carbs. And then fat, most of it should just come from whole foods. You want to limit added fats. So you want to limit how much heavy cream you put in your coffee. You want to limit throwing a half a stick of butter in your coffee, but a little bit, cooking with a little bit of butter is just fine.
Yeah. And for people that are like, all right, what does that kind of look like as far as the foods I should be eating for breakfast, lunch, and dinner? What give some examples of what people can look into and start to purchase for those meals?
So for breakfast, high protein meals with moderate amounts of healthy fats would be something like Greek or Icelandic full fat yogurt, lean cuts of meats, steak, chicken, venison, elk, bison, pork, and then pastured eggs, fish, shrimp. Those are going to be your high protein foods, shellfish and seafood that are going to give you the long-term satiety compared to, let's say, cereal for breakfast, right? And it sort of repeats for lunch and dinner. There's not a whole lot of high protein options besides animal foods, or, you know what I mean? Because the other high protein plant foods, like let's say peanut butter or beans or legumes, right? Lentils, they all come with a fairly high amount of calories and carbs in order to get 40 grams of protein from them. So that's what people miss, is the fact that you're getting a ton more calories per gram of protein from plant foods versus animal foods.
And let's talk about also the missing kind of element in some of this that I always find is interesting in health and everything, and that's sleep. How important is sleep in weight loss?
Studies have shown just one night of poor sleep can increase insulin resistance by 16%. So sleep is extremely vital to our health. And it's something that you can have a good workout on a crappy meal diet for the day, but you're not going to have a good workout if you're sleep deprived. So it's much more acutely harmful not getting good sleep versus, let's say, having one bad meal. In other words, it really maybe should be almost above diet in a way, although you will mess up your sleep if you have a poor diet because you're not going to get the nutrients that are needed, the minerals to even create and synthesize melatonin. So it's kind of like, the chicken or the egg. They're both obviously important. But sleep should definitely be if you're talking about a pyramid of, okay, this is, most important at the top and least important, sleep's got to be number one or number two.
And it is kind of a vicious cycle of sorts, because when you don't get that sleep, you crave more kind of calories and crappy food in a sense. You almost feel like you're hungover off too little sleep and you crave junk food and things to fill you up. Then you usually have those glycose spikes and, everything later at night, which causes poor sleep, which causes less sleep again and not enough. And you just keep doing that over and over. And I feel like if you just broke the cycle, not even from the diet standpoint, but started with just the sleep and got a good night, you wouldn't crave it as much, right?
Totally. I mean, studies show that if you are sleep deprived, the next day on average, you will consume anywhere from 300 to 500 more calories. So again, yes, you can say, okay, it's as long as you're in a calorie deficit, that's all that matters. But try being in a calorie deficit the next day when you're sleep deprived. It's probably not going to happen.
Yeah. I mean, that's what so many people I feel like miss, especially those that are kind of working out, trying to eat right and everything, and then just don't sleep well and stay up at night. I think that's such a big, big component of all this.